1 hour a day can change your life. That's not just a line, it's a real thing. Think about how many hours you lose doing nothing. That helps you grow. Scrolling, waiting, overthinking. You say you want to feel better, get ahead, fix your habits, but then you skip the 1 hour that could have made all the difference. This book isn't about hype, it's about getting honest with yourself. It's about building real discipline in the most practical way possible, 1 focused hour a day. You don't need more motivation, you don't need a big plan. You need 1 hour where you show up no matter how you feel. That's how you rebuild your confidence. That's how you get your focus back. That's how you stop feeling stuck. If you've been lost in distractions, tired of your own excuses, and ready to feel proud of yourself again, this is where you start. 1 hour, every day. No drama, just results. Chapter 1. Give yourself 1 hour to stop wasting time. 1 hour. That's all it takes to stop wasting time and finally take control of your life. 1 hour may not sound like much, but it can be the reason you finally move forward instead of standing still. People often think they need massive changes overnight. They think success comes from doing something huge once. But real change begins the moment you decide to stop wasting time. You don't need to change your whole life in a day. You just need to decide what you'll do with 1 hour. That 1 hour used right will change everything else. Most people waste time and they know it, but they keep doing it anyway. Not because they want to, but because it becomes a habit. It becomes a pattern. You reach for your phone, you scroll through things that don't matter, you watch, you distract yourself, and you avoid what really needs to be done. At first, it doesn't feel like a big deal. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But if you don't stop it, those minutes pile up, and then you wake up one day and realize a whole year has passed and nothing changed. That's the danger of wasted time. It doesn't look like a problem at first. If you gave yourself 1 solid hour every single day to stop wasting time and use it for something real, you'd start feeling different. You'd start thinking clearer. You'd begin to feel proud again. That hour would start to rebuild your confidence piece by piece, because you'd know you're doing something that matters. You'd know you're not letting the day slip by without effort. You're no longer on autopilot. You're choosing to take control. You don't need to announce it to anyone. You don't need to post about it. Just you alone making 1 strong decision. I will no longer waste this hour. That hour becomes your foundation. It becomes the moment where you say no to distraction, no to delay, and yes to your life. Some people waste time and then wonder why they don't feel happy. You don't feel fulfilled when you avoid responsibility. You feel fulfilled when you handle it. You feel proud when you do the thing you were supposed to do. You don't need motivation to stop wasting time. You need standards. You need to say, I won't accept this anymore, because the truth is, nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's going to knock on your door and take your phone away. Nobody's going to show up and force you to focus. That's on you. And if you don't decide, the day will slip away again, and then tomorrow, and then another year. But here's the good news. You can change all of it with 1 clear decision. I give myself 1 hour to stop wasting time and start building the life I want. That hour is for you. It's not for entertainment. It's not for escape. It's for building. That's the hour where you work on your goals. That's the hour where you learn. That's the hour where you train your mind. It's where you say, this time is mine, and I'm not giving it away anymore. You want to feel stronger. Use that hour to move your body. You want to think better. Use that hour to study. You want to be more successful. Use that hour to create, to build, to take action on your dreams. You don't need more hours in the day. You just need to stop giving them to things that don't grow you. The people who win in life are not the ones who are always busy. They're the ones who know where their time is going. And if you can't tell me where your time goes every day, then it's being wasted. And that's the truth a lot of people don't want to face. Because when you start tracking your time, when you start seeing the truth, it hits hard. You realize how much time you gave to nothing, and it stings. But that sting is good. It wakes you up. So give yourself that hour. Make it a non-negotiable hour. Put your phone away. Close the door. Create space for progress. And don't tell yourself you're too tired or too busy. That's just your old self talking. Your new self is stronger than your excuses. Your new self says, this is my hour, and I'm using it to become better. You don't have to be perfect in that hour. You just have to be focused. You have to show up for yourself. And when you do that enough days in a row, something inside you shifts. You start to see your value again. You start to believe in your ability to follow through. You start to carry yourself with more confidence, not because of what people say, but because of what you know. You know you're no longer wasting your time. You know you're building something real, even if no one sees it yet. That's where real change starts. Not with a new year, not with some big announcement. It starts with one quiet hour where you do the right thing for yourself. 1 hour where you don't check your phone. 1 hour where you don't entertain your doubts. 1 hour where you don't run from the work. That hour becomes your edge. Most people won't do it. Most people will keep living on autopilot. But not you, because you've decided, I want more out of life. I want to feel proud of my days. I want to build something that matters. And I don't need 10 steps to start. I need 1 hour. That's it. 1 hour of focused effort is enough to change the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act. And when you repeat that enough times, you become someone else. You become someone who doesn't live on delay. You become someone who takes control. If you've ever said, I don't know where to start, this is where. You start by reclaiming your time. You start by saying, this hour is mine, and I'm not wasting it. You don't need permission. You don't need motivation. You need commitment. And that commitment begins with one simple action. Show up for your hour, every day, no matter how you feel. Because the way you spend your time is the way you spend your life. And if you don't guard your time, distractions will take it from you. You'll be busy but not productive. You'll be active but not fulfilled. That's why this 1 hour matters so much. It's not just time, it's your turning point. It's the beginning of your new life. Not because someone gave it to you, but because you took it. Most people will keep scrolling, they'll keep watching, they'll keep saying someday. But you've already seen where that leads. You've lived enough wasted days. You don't want to feel stuck anymore. You don't want to feel like life is passing you by. You want to feel alive. You want to feel in control. You want to feel like your time matters. And the only way to feel that is to take the hour and use it wisely. Not once, not twice, but every day. It's not about the clock. It's about your mind. It's about telling yourself, I will no longer waste the time I've been given, 1 hour a day, not to impress anybody, not to chase perfection, just to become someone who shows up, focuses and finishes, someone who lives on purpose, someone who doesn't need to explain because their life speaks for them. If you can do that, if you can protect 1 hour a day and use it to stop wasting your life, you won't need motivation. You'll feel something stronger than motivation. You'll feel purpose, and that's what changes everything. Chapter 2. Use 1 hour to finally start your change. Change doesn't wait. It doesn't come to those who keep postponing it. It shows up the moment you do. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that they'll begin tomorrow, or next week, or when the timing feels right. But the truth is, nothing changes unless you start. And most people never start, not because they don't want to, but because they never take that first real hour seriously. They wait for a breakthrough. They wait for a perfect mood. They wait for life to somehow get easier. But waiting becomes a habit, and that habit destroys progress. The day you give yourself 1 honest hour to start changing is the day your life begins to shift. It doesn't have to be a loud decision. Nobody even has to know you're doing it. It's personal, it's quiet, but it's real. That hour becomes your starting point. Not for talking, not for planning, for action. Real, focused, no excuse action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to feel good. It just needs to be done. Because once you start, everything else becomes possible. The problem isn't that people don't have time. It's that they've trained themselves to stay busy doing things that don't lead anywhere. They say they're tired. They say they're overwhelmed. But most of that tiredness comes from not doing the thing they know they should be doing. It's not physical exhaustion. It's mental and emotional exhaustion. You're drained because you've delayed your own progress. You feel stuck because you haven't started. The longer you wait, the heavier everything feels. That's why you need to take just 1 hour and give it to yourself fully, without distraction, without negotiation. In that 1 hour, you start doing the thing you've avoided for too long. Maybe it's learning something new. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's working on your body, your business, or your mindset. The specifics don't matter as much as the act of finally doing it. When you move, when you take action, even for just 60 minutes, something changes inside you. You stop feeling like a spectator. You become the one in charge. That shift, that internal switch, is where real change begins. Starting doesn't mean having it all figured out. Most people think they need clarity before they begin. But the truth is, clarity comes from movement. When you do the work, your mind starts understanding what needs to happen next. But if you stay still, you stay confused, you stay frustrated, you stay stuck in your own head, running in circles. 1 hour of real effort, day after day, breaks that pattern. You don't need to have confidence to start. Confidence is a result of following through. When you show up for yourself every day for 1 hour, you build self-respect. You trust yourself more. You don't need others to believe in you. You believe in yourself because you've seen what you can do when you actually try, and that belief becomes your foundation. Most people are afraid of starting because they don't want to fail, but the real failure is never starting at all. When you give yourself that hour, you learn, you grow, you face discomfort, and you come out stronger. That's not failure. That's how you become the kind of person you admire. Everyone wants progress, but few are willing to sit down with their own discomfort and do the work. This hour is not about speed. It's about commitment. It's not about changing everything overnight. It's about showing yourself that you're not the same person who keeps putting things off. You're not waiting anymore. You're acting, you're moving, and that movement gives you momentum. You do something small today, then again tomorrow, and the day after, and suddenly you're no longer stuck. You're building a new life. People don't fall behind because they don't know what to do. They fall behind because they never begin. They think too much. They overanalyze. They wait until things feel easier. But that hour of action cuts through all that noise. It reminds you that life will never hand you the perfect moment. You have to create it. You have to say, this hour belongs to me, and I'm using it to begin again. You don't need approval. You don't need anyone cheering for you. That hour is not about applause. It's about alignment. You and your future, finally in sync. It may feel awkward at first. You may doubt yourself. That's normal. But keep going, because with every hour you commit, you rewrite the story you've been telling yourself. You're no longer the person who can't start. You're no longer the one who gives up after 2 days. You're the one who shows up, hour after hour, and gets better each time. Your mind may resist. It may try to pull you back into distraction. That's what it's used to. But when you stay with it, when you fight for your hour, you get stronger. You become more focused. You stop giving in so easily. That's when the excuses start to die. That's when progress becomes your new normal. Think about the pain of staying stuck. Think about the regret that comes from doing nothing. Compare that to the discomfort of just starting. Which one hurts more in the long run? That answer should wake you up. You don't need more time. You need to stop waiting and use the time you already have. 1 hour a day, every day, without compromise. Don't wait for motivation. Motivation is a mood. Commitment is a decision. That hour doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on what you've decided. Show up when you're tired. Show up when you're uncertain. Show up when everything in you says to quit. Because the ones who make it, the ones who change, are the ones who keep showing up. Starting small is better than staying still. One small win a day builds something powerful over time. And all those little wins stack up. They give you proof. You stop needing to convince yourself you're serious, because your actions speak for you. That hour becomes your proof, not your dreams, not your words. That hour is your evidence that you're not who you used to be. Stop telling yourself it's not the right time. There is no right time. There is only now. You've wasted enough time thinking about it. Now it's time to do it. That 1 hour may not change your entire life in a day, but it will change your mindset. It will change your patterns. It will change how you feel about yourself. And that's the beginning of everything else. You've been given the gift of time. Stop handing it over to things that don't grow you. Use it to become who you're meant to be. 1 hour at a time. That's how the real change starts. Quietly, privately, but powerfully. And the more consistent you become, the more unstoppable you feel. That's the kind of power that doesn't need to be shouted. It's lived. It's felt. It's built. This is your time. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Now. Use 1 hour to finally start your change. And keep doing it until you don't recognize the old you anymore. That version of you, the one who kept waiting, is gone. The new version is here. And it started with 1 hour.
Chapter 3.
Take 1 hour to break your bad habits. Bad habits don't break on their own. They stay until you face them directly. You can't wish them away. You can't ignore them and expect them to disappear. You have to take control of them, 1 day, 1 hour, 1 decision at a time. If you want to change your life, you have to change the things you do every day that are holding you back. Most people don't realize how much damage their habits cause until it's already built into their daily routine. But here's the truth, it only takes 1 focused hour a day to start pulling yourself out of it. 1 hour where you stop feeding your bad habits and start breaking them piece by piece. You already know what your bad habits are. You feel it every time you waste another hour doing something that adds no value to your life. You feel it when you give in to distraction instead of working on what matters. You feel it when you go back to the same patterns, even though deep down you know it's hurting you. And each time you give in, you lose a little bit of trust in yourself. That's what bad habits do. They steal your energy, they lower your self-respect, and they make you feel stuck. But you don't have to live like that forever. You can decide that starting today, for 1 hour, you will stop feeding the habits that are keeping you small. Most people wait for some magical push. They think they need more motivation, more support, or the perfect conditions. But you don't need perfect conditions to take back 1 hour of your life. You just need to decide that your time is more valuable than your excuses. You don't have to fix everything overnight. You just have to interrupt the cycle. And the most powerful way to do that is to block out 1 hour and say, this hour is for breaking what's been breaking me. That 1 hour becomes your time to take full responsibility. You remove the distractions. You silence the noise. And you look your habits in the face and say, not today. That might mean turning off your phone. That might mean walking away from comfort. That might mean sitting with your thoughts instead of avoiding them. Whatever it looks like, it's about creating space to break the grip those patterns have on you. It won't feel easy at first. It might even feel uncomfortable. But growth always starts in discomfort. You've built those habits over time, and you've repeated them until they became automatic. So now, you need to reverse that process with the same kind of focus. For 1 hour a day, you do the opposite of what your bad habits have trained you to do. If your habit is procrastination, that hour becomes your work hour. If your habit is self-doubt, that hour becomes your learning hour. If your habit is avoiding effort, that hour becomes your action hour. You rewire your behavior by showing up again and again until your new standard becomes normal. You can't talk your way out of a habit. You have to act your way out. And action, real action, requires intention. That's why the hour matters. Not because it's long, but because it's focused. A focused hour of discipline has more power than 10 distracted ones. In that hour, you're not fighting the world, you're just taking back your power from the things that weaken you. And that's how you begin to rebuild. When you break a bad habit, you don't just free up time, you free up energy. You free up self-respect. You stop carrying the guilt and shame that comes from living below your potential. And you replace it with clarity, peace, and strength. That's what happens when you finally take charge. You stop being controlled by your habits, and you start building the version of you that you've always wanted to become. Every time you complete that hour, you gain something that most people never experience. Proof that you can choose differently. Proof that you can delay comfort and focus on growth. Proof that your habits do not control you, you control them. And once you have that proof, it becomes your anchor. When temptation shows up, you remember who you are now. You don't need willpower every second of the day.
You just need enough of it to show up for your hour and stay locked in. The beautiful thing is, you don't have to do it all at once. You just need to make the next right decision in that hour. Don't scroll, don't escape, don't run. Just be present and do the opposite of what your old self would do. Every time you do that, you're not just breaking a habit, you're breaking an identity that no longer serves you. Some people will make excuses forever. They'll say they don't have the time, but they do. They're just using that time to reinforce habits that are slowly ruining their future. Don't let that be you. Your life is made up of how you spend your time. And one powerful, consistent hour each day can create the life you've been wishing for. There's something strong that happens when you stop making room for weakness. You feel it in your posture. You feel it in how you speak to yourself. You feel it when you go to bed at night, and you're proud of how you used your day. That's what real growth feels like. It's not flashy, it's not loud, it's personal, and it's earned 1 hour at a time. When the old habits start calling you back, and they will, remember this, they don't own you. They never did. You just kept saying yes. Now you're saying no. And that small shift changes everything. That's where strength is built, not in the moments when everything is easy, but in the moments when you choose better, even though it's hard. You're not weak because you have bad habits. You're human. But you stay weak when you keep feeding them. If you want your life to look different, you have to behave differently. And that starts with how you spend your next hour. Make it count. Make it honest. Make it uncomfortable if it has to be. But whatever you do, don't go back to who you were before you started trying. There's nothing more powerful than knowing you can break your own patterns. You don't need a new life. You need new decisions. And that decision starts when you claim 1 hour each day for the purpose of becoming better. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody has to understand it. You just have to commit to it. Again and again, that 1 hour is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about showing off. It's about showing up. When you give yourself that time, consistently, you will wake up one day and realize your bad habits no longer run your life. You do. And that feeling, that sense of control, that quiet confidence, it's better than any shortcut, better than any escape, better than any comfort you've ever chased. So take the hour, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, sit with it, use it, and don't waste it. Because your habits may be strong, but you are stronger. And the day you finally prove that to yourself is the day everything begins to change. 1 hour, that's all it takes to break free and finally start becoming the person you know you're capable of being.
Chapter 4. Push for 1 hour, even when you feel low. There are days when you don't feel like doing anything, when your energy is low, when your thoughts are heavy, when everything feels too much. And in those moments, the easiest thing to do is to stop, to shut down, to delay what you know you should be doing. That's what most people do. They back off when it gets hard. But that's exactly when you need to push. Not all day, not forever, just 1 hour. One honest hour where you move forward, even if it's slow, even if you're tired, even if you feel off. Because that 1 hour might be the reason you don't fall apart. You can't wait until you feel good to take action. If you live based on how you feel, you'll lose momentum. Life is not going to protect your emotions. It's going to test them. You're going to have days when you doubt yourself, when everything seems pointless, when your drive disappears. And if you give up every time that happens, you'll never grow. But if you can push yourself to show up for just 1 hour, even when you feel low,
you'll build something deeper than motivation. You'll build discipline. You'll build strength. You'll build proof that you're stronger than your mood. Low days aren't a sign that you're broken. They're a sign that you're human. But what separates people who rise from people who stay stuck is how they respond on those days. Do you retreat, or do you move anyway? Do you drown in self-pity, or do you fight for even a small win? You don't need to accomplish something massive when you're down. You just need to do something, because one action leads to another. One completed task reminds you that you're not powerless. That's why 1 hour matters so much. It's the difference between giving in and taking charge. It's easy to work hard when you're feeling good. It's easy to be productive when you're excited. But those days are a gift. What really defines your path are the days when everything feels heavy and you choose to show up anyway. You don't need to move fast. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay committed. Your future doesn't care about your excuses. It only responds to your actions. That's why even a weak push is better than no push at all. Because movement, no matter how small, creates change. There's a kind of peace that comes when you complete something on a hard day. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. But it stays with you. It reminds you that you're not a slave to your emotions. You're not someone who quits every time things get uncomfortable. You're someone who keeps going, even when it's hard. That kind of self-respect is built, not talked about. And it's built in the tough hours, in the lonely hours. In the hours when no one claps for you and you do the work anyway. Some people believe they need rest when they feel down. But what they really need is progress. Rest is important, but don't confuse avoidance with recovery. Sometimes the very thing that will lift your energy is taking that one step you keep avoiding. 1 hour of focused effort can clear the fog in your mind. It can bring your attention back to what matters. It can pull you out of the spiral. That hour might feel slow. It might feel hard. But when you're done, you'll feel something real. Relief, pride, control. You don't have to rely on willpower alone. You build resilience by showing up consistently. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. At first it's a fight. Every part of you wants to stop. But over time you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop waiting for perfect energy. You stop waiting for the stars to align. You just get up and get to work. And when that becomes your standard, your low days won't control you anymore. You don't need to do everything in that hour. Just focus on one thing that matters. Don't scroll. Don't run to comfort. Pick something that gets you closer to your goal. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's cleaning. Maybe it's training. Whatever it is, do it with full attention. Let it be difficult. Let it feel heavy. But stay with it. Because when you keep pushing through the low moments, you get stronger. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally. You start trusting yourself again. And that trust is what keeps you steady when life hits you hard. People think strength means not feeling weak. That's not true. Strength means doing the right thing while you feel weak. Strength is walking forward while your legs shake. It's saying, I'll give what I can, even when you feel like you've got nothing. That's real power. That's the kind of strength no one can give you. It has to be built. And it's built by choosing action over escape, even when your energy is low. The pain of pushing through is real, but the pain of staying stuck is worse. You know what it feels like to give up on yourself. You know how heavy regret feels. So instead of repeating that cycle, break it. Don't run to comfort. Don't lose another day. Give yourself 1 hour. Not for the world. For you. For the part of you that wants more. for the part that refuses to be controlled by emotion anymore. This is not about working like a machine. It's about choosing discipline when your feelings say otherwise. It's about reclaiming the hour that laziness and doubt always try to steal. It's about proving to yourself that even on your lowest day, you're not done. You still have something in you, and when you give that hour, everything you've got, even if it's not much, it means something. That kind of effort doesn't go unnoticed. It adds up. It makes you someone you can respect again. Low energy doesn't mean low potential. Your circumstances might be hard. Your mind might be heavy. But your ability to act is still in your control. You can decide to stop waiting for the right mood. You can say, I will work through this. And you don't need to feel perfect to get things done. You just need to begin. You've come too far to be controlled by a mood. One bad day doesn't erase all your progress. It doesn't define you unless you let it. So when the heaviness comes, when you feel like shutting down, choose the opposite. Choose 1 hour of effort, 1 hour of focus, 1 hour that says, I'm still in this. Because that 1 hour becomes your anchor. It becomes your proof. And over time, those hours build your reputation with yourself. You stop questioning your ability to show up. You stop doubting your strength. You know who you are, because you've earned it. There will always be reasons to stop. You'll always have a reason to rest, to delay, to say, not today. But those who grow past the noise are the ones who ignore those reasons and choose action anyway. You're not here to stay average. You're not here to stay stuck. You're here to become someone stronger than you were yesterday. And you do that by pushing, especially when it's hard, especially when your energy is low, because that hour on your worst day might be worth more than 10 hours on your best. That's when growth happens. That's when discipline takes root. That's when you rise. So don't wait. Don't sit in your feelings. Don't give the day away. Push for 1 hour. Just one. Give it everything you've got left. And when it's done, you'll be glad you did. Because you didn't let the day defeat you. You showed up anyway. And that makes all the difference.
Chapter 5. Spend 1 hour doing what you always avoid. The progress you want is often buried under the things you avoid. Not the things you don't know, but the ones you know exactly how to do and still walk away from every day. You don't need more plans. You don't need more advice. What you need is the courage to do what you keep running from. It's uncomfortable. It's boring. It might be difficult, but it's necessary. The truth is, your breakthrough is hiding behind the task you keep skipping. And if you're serious about changing your life, you've got to stop avoiding what actually builds it. 1 hour, that's all it takes. One real focused hour doing the exact thing you keep pushing aside. Avoidance is a habit. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. You put off the phone call. You delay the writing. You ignore the mess. You let the list grow longer and your energy grows weaker. And every time you avoid something important, a part of you knows you're falling behind. That's the part that keeps you up at night. That's the tension you feel during the day. It's not always anxiety. It's the weight of things undone. The longer you avoid, the more control you lose. And eventually, your life becomes full of unfinished work and unfulfilled potential. You already know what you've been avoiding. It doesn't need to be pointed out. You feel it in your chest. It shows up when you're alone with your thoughts. It's the thing that lingers in the back of your mind, quietly reminding you that you've got more to do. You don't need to tackle everything all at once. But if you could just take 1 hour a day and face what you normally avoid, you'd start seeing real progress. And not just on the outside, inside too. You'd feel lighter.
You'd feel clear-headed. You'd stop carrying the burden of delay. Avoidance doesn't protect you. It punishes you slowly. You think you're escaping pressure, but you're adding more. You think putting it off makes it easier, but it only makes it harder. Because now, it's not just the task you're dealing with, it's the guilt, the frustration, and the stress of waiting too long. And it keeps building. Until you finally decide you're done running. That's where that hour comes in. 1 hour a day where you go head first into what you resist most. 1 hour where you take control instead of hiding from responsibility. In that hour, you clean up what you've let slide. You return to what you abandoned. You complete what's been halfway done. You respond to what you've been ignoring. You do the thing that makes you uncomfortable. It might not feel good in the beginning. It might even feel like a battle. But when you finish that hour, you'll feel something better than comfort. You'll feel proud. You'll feel stronger. Because now you're leading your day, not reacting to it. There's a certain kind of growth that only happens when you do the hard thing you want to avoid. You can read all the books you want. You can watch all the motivational videos. But until you act on what you keep putting off, nothing real will change. That's what separates the few who grow from the many who stay stuck. Action, not the kind of action that's comfortable or exciting. The kind that's necessary. The kind that requires honesty with yourself. You can't fake this hour. You can't pretend to be working when you're not. You'll know if you're avoiding again. And that's the moment you either step up or step back. But if you can step up, even just for 60 minutes, you'll build a new standard. You'll stop letting tasks pile up. You'll stop lying to yourself about what you'll do later. Later never comes. But right now is still yours. When you do what you always avoid, you grow in ways you didn't expect. You learn that your mind was exaggerating how hard it would be. You realize it doesn't take as long as you thought. You find out that discipline feels better than delay. And you stop being afraid of effort. That's what happens when you stop postponing. You see the truth that the thing you feared was never bigger than your ability to handle it. 1 hour might not seem like a lot. But when that hour is filled with the very things you normally avoid, it becomes powerful. It becomes transformative. It breaks the loop. It teaches you to stop running from the work that builds character. Because that's what's really at stake here. Who you're becoming. Every time you do what's hard, you become more of the person you respect. And that self-respect becomes the fuel that keeps you going. If you want freedom in your life, start with facing what you avoid. Because everything you want, clarity, confidence, momentum, is on the other side of the task you're dodging. You've tried waiting. You've tried hoping it would feel easier. But it never does. And it won't. Until you do it, you don't rise by avoiding. You rise by acting. 1 hour a day is enough to make that shift. Start with the thing that bothers you the most. The thing you think about every day and still don't do. That's your starting point. You don't have to enjoy it. You just have to begin. You'll be surprised how different life feels when you finally start doing what you said you would. That's not just productivity. That's integrity. And when you live in alignment with what you know you should be doing, everything feels more stable. Your energy returns when you're no longer at war with yourself. That's what happens when you face what you avoid. You stop spending all your strength dodging things and start using it to build something. You stop fearing the work and start trusting your ability to handle it. You stop dreading your days and start owning them. This is not about doing everything. It's about doing the thing that matters most, the one you've been avoiding. Every day, 1 hour, no distractions, No excuses, just you and the work. That's how change happens. Quietly, repetitively, consistently, and eventually, powerfully. There's freedom in doing what you run from. There's power in facing the uncomfortable. There's peace in no longer carrying the weight of unfinished tasks. That's what this hour gives you. You'll begin to feel lighter, because you're no longer burdened by delay. You'll move faster because you're not dragging resistance with you. And you'll think clearer, because you're no longer lying to yourself about what needs to be done. So take that hour and do the thing you've been avoiding. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now sit with the discomfort, work through the tension, finish what you start, and repeat that hour every day, until what once felt heavy now feels easy, until what once felt like a burden becomes a habit, until what once controlled you becomes part of your growth. Your life won't change by doing more of what's easy. It changes by doing more of what you usually avoid. That's the real work. That's the path forward, and it's always been waiting for you, right behind the habit of avoidance. Now is your time to stop running and start building, 1 hour at a time.
Chapter 6. Use 1 hour to fix what you regret. Regret is one of the heaviest things a person can carry. It doesn't show up all at once. It builds slowly over time. A missed chance, a wrong choice, a moment you stayed silent, a day you didn't show up. Most people don't talk about regret, but almost everyone feels it. And the more you push it aside, the louder it becomes. Regret grows in the spaces where action was needed, but avoided. But here's the truth. Regret is not the end of your story. It's a signal. It's a call to fix what can still be fixed. And no matter how far off track you think you are, 1 hour a day of honest effort can start turning it around. There are things you wish you would have done differently. You know it. And thinking about it too long can feel like a weight on your back. You remember what you said that you shouldn't have. You remember what you didn't do when you had the chance. You remember what you could have changed if you acted sooner. That's the pain of regret. It keeps you living in the past while time keeps moving forward. But that pain doesn't have to stay permanent. It becomes something useful when you use it as fuel. 1 hour a day. That's all you need to start fixing the things that still bother you. Not to erase the past, but to rise above it. To become the kind of person who learns from mistakes and rebuilds from failure. If you've hurt someone, use the hour to make things right. If you've wasted years, use the hour to rebuild. If you've let your health or your mindset slip, use the hour to get back on track. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need to stop avoiding what needs attention. Avoiding regret doesn't heal it. Avoiding it only feeds it. The more you pretend it's not there, the deeper it grows. But when you sit with it, face it, and work through it, you take your power back. Most people get stuck in shame. They replay what they did wrong, and they freeze. But regret is not a reason to stop. It's a reason to move. You don't change your life by wishing the past was different. You change your life by taking responsibility today. And that starts with 1 honest hour. That hour could be spent writing an apology. It could be spent picking up a skill you gave up on. It could be used to repair something you neglected for too long. Maybe it's your body. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's a dream you buried. You know what you regret. That's where your focus should go. Not to punish yourself, but to rebuild what was lost. You're not here to live in guilt. You're here to grow through it. And you do that by acting now, not waiting for perfect timing. The longer you live with regret without doing anything about it, the more disconnected you feel from your potential.
You start believing you've missed your chance. You start assuming it's too late. But it's not. There's still time on the clock. You still have energy. You still have choices. And as long as you have those, you have power. Power to repair. Power to evolve. Power to own your story. Not just the good parts, but the broken ones too. 1 hour a day of action helps you build back the parts of your life that you thought were gone. And the beauty of that hour is that it's yours. Nobody else decides what you do with it. You don't need permission to start making things right. You don't need applause to begin. You just need to care enough to stop running. That's what growth feels like. Not comfort, not ease, but the decision to finally handle what you've been avoiding. Regret becomes your enemy when it keeps you frozen, but it becomes your teacher when it drives you forward. Think of how many people never take action. They carry regret for years. They talk about what they should have done. They blame circumstances, but they never use their time to fix anything. Don't live like that. Use your pain. Use your memory. Let it point you toward what matters now. You won't get those lost days back, but you can make the days ahead stronger, clearer, and more meaningful. That's the trade. You learn from the cost of delay, and you repay it with discipline. That's the only way regret turns into power. It doesn't disappear on its own. You have to show yourself that you've changed. You do that through action. 1 hour, every day, focused on repair, focused on progress, focused on making right what you once got wrong. Even the smallest step toward fixing something can heal a heavy heart. It might be uncomfortable. It might bring up emotions. But sitting in regret without action will always hurt more than facing it head on. 1 uncomfortable hour of effort is worth more than a lifetime of passive regret. It gives you back your voice. It gives you back your momentum. It gives you something to be proud of again. Use that hour to close the gap between who you were and who you want to be. Take the lessons from the past and apply them with full focus. You're not repeating the same mistakes. You're correcting your path. You're not stuck. You're starting again. And that's one of the most powerful things a person can do. Not everyone gets it. Not everyone will see your effort. But you will feel the change inside you. You'll walk lighter. You'll think clearer. You'll stop feeling like you're stuck in the past. Don't rush it. 1 hour is enough. It's enough to build momentum. It's enough to regain trust in yourself. That hour tells you, I'm not avoiding anymore. It shows you that you're in control now. You're not the person who keeps saying someday. You're not living on delay. You're acting. And action brings clarity. It brings healing. It brings confidence. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you become stronger than the regret that once held you down. You can't delete the past, but you can stop it from controlling your future. Every time you use that hour to repair what's been broken, you take a step toward peace. And peace isn't something that shows up when everything is easy. It's something you earn when you take action, even when it's hard. That's how you rebuild trust in yourself. Not through words, not through intention, but through action. Focused, consistent, real effort. So take that 1 hour. Give it everything. Bring your focus, your honesty and your courage. Use it to speak up. Use it to rebuild. Use it to prove to yourself that your past does not decide your future. Your choices today do. Your effort today does. That 1 hour becomes your new beginning. It becomes the moment where you stop running and start fixing. And over time, those hours turn into a new story. One you can be proud of. One that's built not on what went wrong, but on what you chose to do about it. You are not your regret. You are what you do with it. And if you choose to act, if you choose to use even 1 hour each day to make things right, you'll feel the shift. Not all at once, but deeply, slowly, and permanently. That's what matters. That's what real change looks like. Not perfection, just the choice to finally stop avoiding and start becoming. 1 hour at a time.
Chapter 7. Give 1 hour to build your self-control daily. Self-control is the foundation of a disciplined life. It's not something you're born with, it's something you train. And you don't train it once. You build it through daily effort. Every single day, you're given the chance to choose discipline or distraction, progress or comfort, the long-term reward or the short-term escape. And most people never think about self-control until they realize they've lost it. They give in to impulses. They react before thinking. They chase temporary relief and then wonder why their life feels out of control. That's not because they're weak. It's because they've never taken time to build their inner strength. But you can. And it starts with 1 hour each day that you dedicate to doing exactly what builds self-control. This hour isn't about achieving something external. It's about building something internal. It's where you practice holding the line when your mind wants to give up. It's where you build the muscle that tells you, I don't need to act on every feeling. Because self-control isn't about perfection, it's about restraint. It's about not letting every distraction steal your focus. It's about choosing the right thing when the wrong thing feels easier. 1 hour a day. That's all it takes. 1 hour where you say no to shortcuts. Where you sit with discomfort and don't run from it. Where you control your actions instead of letting your emotions or urges decide for you. This hour becomes your training ground. The world won't slow down, the temptations won't stop, but your ability to say no, your ability to direct your focus, your energy, your choices, that's what gives you power. Self-control isn't built in extreme moments. It's built in small decisions repeated over time. It's in the choice to stay off your phone when you need to focus. It's in the decision to work out even when you're tired. It's in the moment when you want to quit but don't. And if you can take just 1 hour a day to push through those moments, you'll become someone who can handle pressure, delay gratification, and stay focused under stress. You don't need to control everything in your life. You just need to control yourself. That's where your power is. And too many people hand that power away. They say yes when they should say no. They react out of habit instead of thinking things through. They look for comfort and wonder why they feel lost. But the truth is, when you master self-control, you master your direction. You become someone who doesn't need perfect conditions to stay focused. You become someone who leads your life, not someone who chases after it. This hour should be uncomfortable. It should stretch you. Because real growth doesn't come from staying in your comfort zone. It comes from doing what your lazy mind tries to avoid. You train yourself to stay calm when things are hard. You train yourself to push forward when your feelings say stop. You don't follow every urge. You don't react to every distraction. You stay centered. You stay steady. And when you build that kind of strength, no one can take it from you. People think self-control is restrictive, that it limits freedom, but it's the opposite. Self-control gives you freedom. Freedom from being pulled in every direction. Freedom from regret. Freedom from the chaos that comes when you always give in. That's what this hour builds. It builds the kind of freedom that comes from knowing you can trust yourself. It's not about being the toughest person in the room. It's about being the most disciplined. Because discipline beats talent. Discipline beats luck. Discipline shows up when nothing else does. And it's discipline that builds results you can count on. But discipline isn't automatic.
It comes from controlling yourself, from doing what you said you'd do, even when the excitement wears off. That's what this hour is for, to remind you who's in charge. You'll be tested during this hour. You'll want to pause. You'll want to quit early. But that's where the breakthrough is, right there in the moment when it gets hard. That's when you decide, am I going to give in again, or am I going to hold the line this time? Every time you choose to keep going, your self-control grows stronger. Every time you delay the urge to quit, you build trust with yourself. And that trust becomes your backbone. Think about the times you've lost control. The moments where you said something you didn't mean, spent time on things you later regretted, or walked away from what mattered most. Those moments didn't come from lack of intelligence. They came from lack of control. And if you want to stop repeating those patterns, you need to start training for them. That's what this hour gives you. Training for real life. Training for high-pressure moments. Training for staying calm, clear, and focused. And you don't need anything fancy. You just need commitment. You decide the time. You decide the challenge. Maybe it's writing without interruption. Maybe it's fasting. Maybe it's staying in silence and controlling your thoughts. Whatever it is, make it hard enough to stretch you. Not so hard that it breaks you, but enough to challenge your automatic responses. Because the more you challenge those reactions, the more you gain control over them. Most people want to change, but they don't want to do what change demands. They want the benefits without the discipline. But the reality is, without self-control, nothing you start will last. You'll break your own momentum. You'll chase every new thing. You'll sabotage progress and call it bad luck. But when you train daily to control your time, your thoughts, your actions, you stop being pushed around by impulses. You become stable. You become reliable. And that's when your goals stop feeling impossible. This isn't about being perfect. You'll still feel temptation. You'll still feel resistance. But now you've trained for it. Now you're not surprised when it shows up. You expect it. And you respond with clarity instead of chaos. That's what 1 hour a day can do. It can change how you respond to life. It can help you move from reacting to leading. You might not see the results on day one. That's normal, but you will feel it. You'll notice your ability to focus longer. You'll catch yourself before slipping back into old habits. You'll speak slower when emotions rise. You'll pause before saying yes to something that doesn't align with your goals. Those small shifts add up, and over time they change who you are. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You just have to be consistent. You just have to keep showing up for that hour. Every single day. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's convenient. But because you made a decision that your future matters more than your excuses. And when you live like that, you become someone you can respect. So start today. Set the timer. Remove the distractions. Pick something that challenges you. And for 1 hour, give it everything. No breaks. No detours. Just pure focus and effort. And when that hour ends, you'll walk away sharper. You'll walk away more disciplined. You'll walk away with the kind of confidence that can't be bought. It has to be earned. 1 hour at a time.
Chapter 8. Take 1 hour to face what scares you. Fear has a way of keeping people stuck. Not because they're weak, but because they keep avoiding the very things they need to face. They feel the pressure build, but instead of turning toward it, they shrink back. It's not that they don't know what needs to be done, it's that doing it brings discomfort. Fear whispers, "Not now," and people listen. They wait for confidence to show up before they act. But confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after.
It comes from doing the thing you didn't think you could do. That's why you must take 1 hour every day and face the thing that scares you, not the thing that seems easy, not the thing that feels comfortable, the thing that tightens your chest when you think about it. That's where your growth is. Most people live around their fears. They build routines to avoid them. They tell themselves stories about why it's okay to delay. They call it patience, but it's really hesitation. They wait for courage, but it never arrives on its own. Courage doesn't walk into your life. It's built. 1 uncomfortable hour at a time. You don't need to fix your whole life in a day. You just need to stop hiding from the part that's holding you back. You know what scares you. Maybe it's speaking up. Maybe it's failing. Maybe it's success. Maybe it's starting something you've wanted to do for years. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it's controlling you. And the longer you avoid it, the more power it takes from you. That fear becomes part of your identity. You start believing that you're someone who just isn't ready, or isn't that type of person. But those are lies created by repetition. When you avoid something long enough, your brain starts to believe that it's dangerous, that it's too much, that you're not built for it. But none of that is true. The only way to break that belief is to do the thing anyway, scared, uncertain, shaking if you have to. But do it. 1 hour, that's all you need. 1 hour every day where you stand face to face with what you've been avoiding. You make the call. You send the message. You ask the question. You start the project. You do what makes you nervous. You sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. You don't have to win. You just have to show up. Because showing up when you're afraid builds something stronger than talent. It builds character. You're not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to take action anyway. And once you realize that, your fear loses its grip. Because fear only has power over you when you obey it. When you break that pattern, even in the smallest way, you begin to feel something shift. You realize that the fear was loud, but it wasn't real. You realize that what you were running from wasn't as strong as you thought. It was just familiar. And now you're choosing to do something unfamiliar. That's bravery. And that bravery will change your life. There's a version of you on the other side of what you're scared of. That version is stronger, more focused, more confident, but you can't get there by thinking about it. You have to earn it, not by pretending fear isn't there, but by moving through it. You take the fear with you, and you act anyway. That's what growth feels like. And the more you do it, the less intimidating it becomes. What used to scare you becomes normal. What used to stop you becomes something you can handle. And over time you start to see that fear was never the real enemy. Inaction was. People will tell you to think positive. That's nice, but it won't change your life. Action does. Action in the face of fear. Action when your voice shakes. Action when your thoughts are racing. You want to grow. Take 1 hour every single day and lean into the thing you keep avoiding. That's your training ground. That's where your power is. Don't distract yourself. Don't numb the fear. Don't wait for the perfect mindset. You already know what needs to be done. Do it. You don't need to make a scene. This is personal. It's between you and the part of you that keeps playing it safe. You don't have to tell anyone. Just set the time, get quiet, and face what you've been running from. Some days will be harder than others. Some days your hands might shake. Some days your thoughts will try to talk you out of it. That's fine. Let them talk. But don't stop. Keep going. Because every single time you move forward while afraid, you change your wiring. You train your mind to understand that fear is not danger, it's a signal that growth is close. Don't let fear convince you that your dreams are too far away. They're not. What's far away is the version of you who keeps waiting. The version of you who listens to doubt. That version never built anything. But you're not staying there. Not anymore. Now you act. Now you take the hour. Not just to work, but to face the thing that holds you back. That's the hour that counts. That's the hour that makes the rest of your life stronger. The fear doesn't go away forever. It comes back in new forms. But now you've trained for it. You know how to handle it. You don't freeze. You don't run. You meet it with action. That's what real self-respect looks like. You trust yourself to act, even when you don't feel ready. And that kind of trust changes everything. You can't control every outcome. You won't always succeed on the first try. But that's not the point. The point is to face it. To stop letting fear dictate your pace. To stop putting your dreams on hold because you don't feel confident enough yet. Confidence is built by doing the thing, not by thinking about it. So whatever it is, do it. Start small if you have to. One hard conversation. One uncomfortable decision. One move forward. That's enough. 1 hour every day, where you stop hiding from the thing that makes you sweat. Because that hour becomes your edge. It becomes the reason you're growing when others are staying stuck. Most people wait for fear to leave. You're walking into it. That's the difference. No one else can do this for you. No book, no course, no mentor can take this step on your behalf. They can guide you, but they can't face the fear. That's your job. And if you take it seriously, you'll start to feel proud again. Not because things are perfect, but because you're not hiding. You're not avoiding. You're living with courage. Every great result in life starts with a decision to act when it's uncomfortable. That's what this hour is. A decision to no longer be held back by what used to scare you. And if you keep showing up for that hour, day after day, your fear won't disappear. But it won't own you anymore either. You'll walk taller. You'll move faster. You'll speak clearer. Because you'll know you can handle anything. So stop postponing what you know you need to do. You've waited long enough. Set the clock. Take the hour. Face what scares you. And do it again tomorrow. That's how change happens. That's how courage is built. That's how you take back your life. 1 hour, fully present, fully committed, fully honest. That's all it takes. And once you do that long enough, nothing will have the same power to stop you again.
Chapter 9. Use 1 hour to grow without outside noise. Every day, the world throws noise at you. Notifications, opinions, updates, messages, pressure. You wake up, and before you even take a deep breath, something outside is already reaching for your attention. And if you're not careful, your mind becomes crowded before the day even starts. You scroll through everyone else's life and forget to check in with your own. You listen to voices that don't live your life, and you start thinking like them. That's how growth gets interrupted. Not because you're lazy, but because your mind gets filled with too much that isn't yours. And that's why you need 1 quiet hour. 1 hour without the world pulling at you. 1 hour where you focus on growing without outside noise. Growth needs silence. Real clarity doesn't come from chaos. It comes from stillness, reflection, focused thought. But people don't give themselves space anymore. They let their time be taken. They let their mind be shaped by what's trending, what's urgent, what's popular. And slowly, they lose touch with what they actually want. That's what happens when you don't create distance. The outside starts controlling the inside.
But here's what changes everything. You take 1 hour every day just for yourself. No phone, no messages, no scrolling, no outside voices. Just you, your mind, your goals, and your growth. That hour is not about escaping the world. It's about reconnecting with what really matters to you. It's about choosing depth over noise, intentional action over passive reaction. This hour gives you space to think for yourself again, to decide where you're going, instead of just reacting to where the world pulls you. It's where you study, where you plan, where you reflect. It's where you sharpen your thinking, not because anyone told you to, but because you understand that growth doesn't happen in the middle of constant distraction. Growth happens when you step away from all that and build something solid within yourself. That hour might feel strange at first. You're not used to quiet. You're not used to facing your own thoughts without something in your hands or noise in your ears. But give it time. That discomfort is a sign that your mind is finally clearing. You'll start hearing your own voice again, the one that got buried under all the outside noise. The voice that knows what's right for you. The voice that pushes you to rise, to act, to change. Most people don't grow because they don't give themselves space to. They're always reacting. They're always consuming. They don't know what they believe anymore, because they're too busy watching everyone else. But that's not you anymore. You've decided to step away. You've chosen 1 hour of silence, effort, and focus. And that choice separates you. It puts you back in control. This is where discipline is built. Not just physical but mental. You learn to focus again. You learn to think clearly again. You stop chasing every distraction. You sit down, you breathe, and you do the work. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's planning your next move. Maybe it's simply reflecting on your progress. The activity doesn't matter as much as the commitment. You're not doing it for applause. You're doing it to build yourself. The world will keep trying to pull you back. Your phone will buzz. Your mind will wander. That's normal. But this hour is not about perfection. It's about discipline. It's about saying, right now, I don't need to hear from anyone. I need to listen to myself. That's power, not the kind that comes from being loud, but the kind that comes from being clear. The kind that doesn't get shaken by noise, because it's built in silence. You'll start noticing something after a few days. You'll think better. You'll feel more calm. You'll make decisions with more confidence. That's what happens when your mind has room to breathe. You stop reacting to everything around you and start responding with purpose. That's what separates strong minds from scattered ones. Space, stillness, consistency. You don't need anyone to understand your hour. It's not for them, it's for you. It's the time you take to upgrade your thinking, to center yourself, to move intentionally. It's where you stop rushing and start building. Because you can't grow when you're overwhelmed. You can't grow when your mind is overstimulated. You grow when you step away from the noise and choose discipline. You'll be tempted to skip it, to check a message, to scroll just a little. Don't. That's the test. Every time you choose silence over noise, you win back your mind. You reclaim your attention. And when you control your attention, you control your direction. This hour isn't just about peace. It's about building mental strength. Training your brain to stop craving constant input. Teaching yourself to sit in quiet and still be powerful. Because that's what most people can't do anymore. They can work hard when there's pressure, when there's sound, when there's stimulation. But ask them to sit down in silence and focus, and they fall apart. But not you. Not if you commit to this. This hour becomes your anchor. No matter what happens during the day, You know you gave yourself that space. And that gives you a sense of control. You don't feel like the day just happened to you. You feel like you led it. And that mindset carries into everything, into how you speak, how you move, how you respond to challenges. Because you're not operating from noise. You're operating from clarity. Growth doesn't shout, it whispers. And you can't hear it unless you make time to listen. That's what this hour gives you. The chance to hear the lessons life is trying to teach you. The chance to reset. The chance to remember why you started. It's not about isolation. It's about preparation. You're building a mind that's not reactive. A mind that's thoughtful, sharp, focused. You start becoming someone who doesn't get thrown off by the world's chaos. You stop panicking when things go wrong. You don't chase trends. You create strategy. You don't follow noise. You move with intention. And it all started with one quiet hour that you gave to yourself each day. The world will always be noisy. But you don't have to live overwhelmed. You don't have to be available to everything. You don't have to answer every beep or scroll through every post. You can unplug. You can walk away. You can sit down and grow in silence. That's where the best decisions come from. That's where your best ideas will be born. That's where you'll find the clarity that keeps you grounded, no matter what's happening around you. Not because the world got quieter, but because you got stronger. So give yourself the hour. Guard it. Protect it. Make it yours. And use it. Not for distraction. Not for entertainment. Use it to think better. To feel stronger. To sharpen who you are. And when you do that long enough, the world won't pull you in every direction anymore. Because you've already decided where you're going. In the quiet. In the calm. In the place where real growth begins.
Chapter 10. Repeat 1 hour until you trust yourself again. It's easy to lose trust in yourself. You say you'll start, and you don't. You say you'll finish, and you quit halfway. You make plans, but never follow through. Over time, your own words stop meaning anything to you. That's how trust breaks. Not all at once, but little by little, every time you choose comfort over commitment. You stop believing your own promises. And once that belief is gone, even the smallest goals feel heavy. It's not that you're not capable. It's that your mind doesn't believe you'll stick with it. That's a hard place to live from. It makes you second-guess everything. But the good news is, it can be fixed. You can rebuild that trust. You don't need to prove anything to the world. You just need to show up for yourself again. 1 honest hour at a time. That hour becomes the proof. The quiet, consistent effort that says, I mean what I say. You don't need to make bold claims. You don't need to shout your intentions. What matters now is action. Private, focused, real action. Because trust isn't built through talk. It's built through repetition. Through doing the right thing when no one's watching. Through doing it when you don't feel like it. Through doing it even when results are slow. That's how belief in yourself comes back. Not through some breakthrough moment. Through small victories stacked daily. 1 hour a day may not seem like much, especially when you're used to quitting. But that's what makes it powerful, because it's simple, it's manageable. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to keep 1 promise a day. And when you do that long enough, your mind starts to believe you again. You start walking with more certainty. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop hesitating every time something hard shows up. That's what happens when you rebuild from the inside. Trust isn't something you ask for. It's something you earn. And you earn it by showing up consistently, especially when it's hard. The moment you feel resistance, but move anyway, something inside you shifts. You're no longer a talker.
You're a doer. You don't wait for motivation. You've built discipline, and that discipline becomes your edge. It becomes the reason your life starts to move forward again. You don't need to prove anything to anyone else. The biggest thing missing isn't approval from others. It's belief in your own word. That's what hurts the most when you've been breaking promises to yourself. It's not failure. It's the fact that you don't feel reliable anymore. You can't even trust yourself to follow through. That's a painful realization, but it's also a powerful one, because once you're honest about it, you can begin fixing it. Not by writing a bigger plan, not by making more declarations, but by taking the next hour seriously. That hour is your training ground. It's where you prove to yourself, again and again, that you're someone who does what they say they'll do. You don't skip, you don't cheat, you don't make excuses. You sit down, you work, you finish. That's how trust is built. Quietly, with effort, with discipline. And the more you do it, the more stable you feel. You don't need outside validation. You know who you are, and that kind of knowing is what gives you peace. You've lied to yourself before. You've said you'd change and didn't. That doesn't mean you're broken. It just means your mind is waiting for new evidence. Your patterns have taught it not to believe your words. So now you give it a new experience. You show up, you deliver, you complete the hour, you do it again tomorrow, and then the next day, until there's no more debate, until your brain stops questioning you, until your habits match your values. That's when trust returns. This isn't about speed, it's about consistency. You don't have to see results right away. You just need to complete the process. That's what your confidence is built on. Not outcomes, but follow through. The way you feel when you finish something you promised yourself. The way your body relaxes when you stop betraying your own goals. You begin to trust that you won't fall apart under pressure. You begin to trust that your word means something again. And that feeling is more valuable than any temporary win. Most people want change, but they skip the part that rebuilds trust. They want the result, but they don't want to earn back their own belief. That's why they stay stuck. That's why nothing feels right, even when they try again. Because deep down, they still don't trust themselves to finish. And the only way to change that is to stop saying it and start doing it. You don't need to convince yourself. You need to show yourself. So keep it simple. 1 hour. Every day. Pick the work. Lock in. Eliminate distractions. Do what matters. No shortcuts. No loopholes. Just clean effort. And when the hour ends, reflect on it. Not with judgment, but with honesty. Did you show up fully? Did you give it your best? If not, adjust. But don't break the chain. The momentum matters more than the pace. You'll have days when you want to quit. Days when your mind tells you it doesn't matter. That's the test. That's the moment where trust is either broken again or made stronger. And if you can push through those days, you're not just changing your schedule, you're changing your identity. You're no longer someone who gives up easily. You're becoming someone who finishes. And that change, slow, quiet, personal, is the most powerful kind. Don't rush it. You can't rebuild years of broken promises overnight, but you don't need to. You just need to prove one thing today, that you will show up, that you will do the work, that your word to yourself matters now. And when you do that long enough, your entire self-image transforms. You stop needing to explain yourself. You stop defending your potential. You become living proof. So take the hour. Give it everything. Treat it with respect. And let that respect build into something real. Because when you trust yourself, you stop chasing validation. You stop trying to be someone else. You start building your own way forward. With clarity, with strength, with peace. You already have what it takes. You just haven't been consistent enough to feel it. That changes now. With 1 hour, repeated, focused, honest. That's where your power is. Not in making big plans, but in keeping small promises. Do it today. Then do it again tomorrow. Then the next day. Until the voice in your head no longer doubts you. Until your word carries weight again. Until you feel proud, not just of what you've done, but of who you've become. 1 hour a day, repeated, until your trust in yourself is unshakable. That's the path. That's how you build a life that feels solid again. It's not about changing everything. It's about showing up long enough for that 1 hour to change you.